Living alone as an older man brings a unique blend of freedom and challenge. One that many of us never fully anticipated, doesn't it? On one hand, you have your own space, your own schedule, the quiet peace you've earned after a lifetime of hard work. But on the other hand, there's a silence that can sometimes feel a little too profound. But what if I told you that within that peaceful solitude, there are hidden dangers? Insidious mistakes that can transform your golden years from a time of independence into a period of dangerous, and sometimes irreversible, isolation. The statistics are sobering. Nearly 4 million men over the age of 60 live alone right here in the United States, and that number is climbing. And while that independence is a badge of honor, it also removes a critical safety net. And here's the nightmare that no one talks about. Some of the most common habits of men living alone can be life-threatening. As a physician who has dedicated my career to the health and well-being of older adults, I've spent countless hours listening to the stories of my patients. And I have to be direct with you. What I've learned has deeply concerned me. There are 9 specific mistakes I've seen men make, time and time again. The 7th mistake on this list is so critical. Shocking research shows it is responsible for over 73% of all emergency situations among older men living alone. This isn't about theory from a textbook. I'm talking about real lives. I think of a patient of mine, a fiercely independent retired engineer who dismissed a few recurring symptoms as just part of getting older. That small oversight, that simple mistake, led to a preventable emergency that changed his life forever. That is why I am making this video. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to arm you with knowledge. We will walk through these 9 mistakes, one by one. And for each, I will give you the simple, practical, and often free steps to protect yourself. And I truly must urge you, please, stay with me until the very end. The final insights we'll discuss could be the single most important thing you do for your health and safety this year. The information in that final section might just save a life. Perhaps even your own. Before we begin with mistake number 1, I want to ask you something from the heart. If this feeling of navigating life alone, with both its freedoms and its quiet worries, resonates with you, please take a moment to comment a simple "I understand" below. It helps me know we're connected, and more importantly, it shows others in our community that they are truly not alone in this. Okay, let's get started. Alright, let's begin with the first and perhaps most deceptive mistake I see men make when they start living alone. Mistake number 1. Completely isolating yourself from social connections. This might seem obvious, but the reality is far more subtle and far more dangerous than most people realize. When major life changes happen, like retirement or the profound loss of a spouse, a man's first instinct is often to retreat, to seek quiet. And that's a natural part of grieving or adjusting. But here is the danger. A short-term retreat can quietly become a long-term pattern, a habit of isolation that takes root before you even notice. From a medical standpoint, this is incredibly serious. Extensive research has shown that chronic loneliness triggers the same inflammatory stress response in your body as a persistent physical injury. It weakens your immune system, raises your blood pressure, and dramatically increases the risk of depression. Your brain, deprived of regular, meaningful interaction, literally begins to rewire itself, making it harder and harder to reconnect, even when you want to. For older men especially, who may have relied on their careers or their wives to be the hub of their social lives, this transition can be particularly brutal. The familiar avenues for connection simply disappear. I think of my patient, John, a wonderful 68-year-old widower from Michigan. He shared with me how, after his wife passed, he went nearly 2 full weeks without speaking to another human being face to face. He wasn't trying to be a hermit. He was just grieving. But the days bled together, and the silence in his home became his only companion. He was slipping away without realizing it. The solution isn't to suddenly become a social butterfly. That's not realistic. The key is to start small and be consistent. Please, hear me on this. You must intentionally schedule human connection back into your life. Join just one community group. It could be at your local library, a veterans hall, or your place of worship. Consider volunteering just a few hours a week. Or simply make a promise to yourself to call one old friend or family member every Tuesday, no matter what. For John, the turning point was joining a weekly coffee group for widowers. He told me it felt terribly awkward at first. But within a month, he admitted those 2 hours on Wednesday mornings had become the anchor of his week. You must build that anchor. However, avoiding isolation is just the first step. Because even if you are socially connected, the next mistake can undo all of that good work by attacking your health from the inside out. Mistake number 2. Neglecting your physical and mental health maintenance. There is a powerful tendency among men, one that has been ingrained for generations, to tough it out. To push through discomfort, to dismiss a nagging pain or a persistent cough as nothing serious. While you have a partner, they often serve as a crucial second set of eyes, noticing a change in your walk, reminding you about that doctor's appointment you keep forgetting. When you live alone, that safety net is gone. You are the sole guardian of your well-being, and procrastination becomes a far more dangerous game. Here is the core reason why this is so critical as we age. Our bodies lose some of their resilience. A minor issue that you could have shaken off at 40 can escalate into a major medical emergency at 70 if it's not addressed. That feeling of dizziness you dismiss as standing up too fast could be a sign of a cardiovascular issue. That persistent heartburn could be something more serious. And this applies with equal force to mental health. The quiet solitude of living alone can amplify feelings of grief, anxiety, or depression. Yet, so many men write these feelings off as just a normal part of getting older. It is not. Your emotional well-being is directly tied to your physical health, your cognitive function, and your ability to live independently. I've seen it countless times in my practice. A man comes in for an emergency, and when we trace it back, the warning signs were there for months. He just ignored them. So, I am urging you to take action. Create a simple, non-negotiable health system for yourself. Set daily reminders on your phone for medications. Get a large wall calendar and write down your doctor's appointments in big, bold letters. Schedule your annual physical and other checkups proactively, even when you feel perfectly fine. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a mark of profound strength and wisdom. It is you taking control. If you've been putting off that doctor's appointment or ignoring changes in your mood, please comment the number 2 below. I read every comment and I often reply with resources that might help. Now, maintaining your health is crucial, but it's only half the battle. You also have to prepare for the day when things go wrong unexpectedly, which leads us to the third critical mistake. Mistake number 3. Failing to prepare adequately for emergency situations. When you live with others, there's an unspoken security. If you fall, someone will hear you. If you don't wake up in the morning, someone will notice. Living alone removes that human safety net entirely, making personal preparedness an absolute, non-negotiable necessity. Many men I speak with have a false sense of security. They think, I'm careful. It won't happen to me. But accidents and medical events are, by their very nature, unpredictable. And the difference between a minor incident and a life-altering tragedy often comes down to how quickly you can get help. The core reason this is so vital is simple. Time. In a medical emergency like a stroke, a heart attack, or a serious fall, every single minute counts. A delay of even an hour can drastically alter the outcome, leading to greater disability or worse. When you're alone, you are your own first responder, and if you can't reach a phone or are incapacitated, the delay for help to arrive grows exponentially. Let me tell you about George, a 72-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. He was a vibrant, active man. One morning, he slipped on a wet spot on his bathroom floor. He hit his head on the tub and severely injured his hip. His phone was on the charger in the kitchen. He couldn't move without excruciating pain. George lay on that cold, hard floor for 6 hours. 6 hours. Before his neighbor, bless her heart, noticed his morning newspaper was still on the porch and came to check on him. That experience could have been entirely different with just a little preparation. So please, let's turn this fear into action today. First, seriously consider a personal emergency response system. One of those devices you can wear as a pendant or a wristband. Pushing a single button can summon help. Second, make it a rule to keep a phone within reach in every single room. And yes, that includes the bathroom. Third, create a simple check-in system. Arrange with a neighbor, a friend, or a family member to have a quick call or text exchange at the same time every day. And finally, Think beyond medical issues. Have a kit ready for power outages or severe weather, with flashlights, batteries, water, and non-perishable food. This isn't about living in fear. It's about taking the smart, simple steps that ensure you can live independently, with confidence and peace of mind. Being prepared for an emergency is about reacting to a crisis. But our next mistake is about the slow, quiet habits that can create a crisis over time. Mistake number 4. Developing harmful coping habits. The total freedom of living alone is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's liberating. No one to answer to, no one to judge your choices. But that same lack of accountability can create the perfect environment for destructive patterns to grow, often so slowly that you don't recognize them as a problem until they have a firm grip on your life. When you're feeling lonely, bored, or grieving, it's human nature to seek comfort. The danger lies in what you choose for that comfort. The reason this is so particularly dangerous for men living alone is the absence of a gentle corrective voice. A spouse might notice that 1 glass of wine with dinner has slowly become 3. A partner might comment that you've been relying a lot on processed, unhealthy takeout food. Without that feedback loop, these small daily choices can compound into significant health issues. A little too much alcohol can disrupt sleep, damage your liver, and interact dangerously with medications. A poor diet can lead to weight gain, high blood pressure, and low energy. And spending entire days in front of the television, a sedentary pattern, is a direct path to muscle loss and reduced mobility. I remember talking with Paul, a 66-year-old from Texas, a kind man who lost his wife a few years back. He told me how his single glass of wine in the evening, a way to unwind and remember her, slowly and insidiously became a daily bottle. He didn't see the gradual escalation. He didn't realize how much it was affecting his sleep and his mood until his daughter came for a week-long visit and, with love and concern in her eyes, pointed out how much he had changed. So, the solution is to create your own structure and accountability. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for caring for. Plan and prepare at least a few healthy meals each week. Think of cooking not as a chore, but as a meaningful act of self-care. Establish a regular sleep schedule and honor it. Be honest with yourself about alcohol consumption and set firm limits. And find a way to move your body that you actually enjoy, a daily walk, gardening, swimming. It doesn't have to be strenuous. It just has to be consistent. Comment below if you found yourself developing any habits you're concerned about. I promise you, you are not alone in this struggle. Just as personal habits shape your health, the environment you live in can either support your well-being or become a source of crushing stress. This brings us to the 5th mistake. Mistake number 5. Letting your home become an overwhelming burden. The home where you raised a family, the house filled with a lifetime of memories, is a place of deep emotional significance. It's your sanctuary. But as we get older, and especially when we're managing it alone, that same beloved home can slowly transform into an anchor that weighs us down, consuming our time, our energy, and our financial resources. This transformation is often so gradual that we don't recognize the toll it's taking until we're already exhausted and overwhelmed. The core issue is a mismatch between your current capabilities and the demands of the property. Tasks that were once a simple weekend chore, like cleaning the gutters, doing yard work, or handling minor repairs, can become physically challenging or even dangerous. And when these tasks get neglected, they don't just go away, they snowball. A small leak becomes major water damage. A cluttered basement becomes a serious falling hazard. The constant, low-grade stress of knowing there are things that need to be done but not having the energy or ability to do them can profoundly impact your peace of mind. Many men also feel a sense of guilt or failure at the thought of not being able to keep up, or at the idea of leaving a home so tied to their identity. I think of Michael, a 70-year-old widower, a patient of my colleague. For 2 years after his wife, Emily, passed, he fought to maintain their large, 4-bedroom family home. He told his daughter he felt like he would be betraying his wife's memory if he moved. But the truth was, the house was consuming him. The yard work took all weekend, the upkeep was expensive, and the empty rooms just echoed his loneliness. When he finally made the difficult decision to move into a smaller, more manageable townhome, he described it as a profound liberation. He hadn't lost his memories. He had simply shed an enormous burden, freeing up his time and energy to actually enjoy his life. So, I ask you to honestly assess your situation. Does your home serve you, or do you now serve your home? If staying is your priority, please invest in regular help for maintenance, cleaning, or yard work. See it for what it is, an investment in your safety and freedom. And if downsizing makes sense, remember that you are not giving up memories. You are creating space for new, more joyful experiences. Your home should be a source of comfort, not a constant, draining obligation. Even in the most perfect, manageable home, a deeper, more existential challenge can arise, which leads to our sixth mistake, a problem that strikes at the very core of a man's identity. Mistake number 6. Losing your sense of purpose. For most of our lives, particularly for men of a certain generation, our identity is deeply intertwined with our roles. We are husbands, fathers, providers. We are engineers, teachers, builders, businessmen. Our days are structured by responsibilities, by projects to complete, by people who depend on us. Then, two of life's most significant earthquakes hit: retirement, and for many, the loss of a spouse. Suddenly, the scaffolding that held up your identity for decades is gone. The phone stops ringing with work problems. No one is asking you for help with homework. You wake up in the morning, and the day stretches out before you, a vast, empty expanse. This is not just about feeling bored. This is a profound psychological crisis. The core reason it's so dangerous is that a lack of purpose is directly linked to a decline in both physical and cognitive health. Groundbreaking research has consistently shown that older adults with a strong sense of purpose live longer, have a lower risk of dementia and heart disease, and maintain their physical function better than those who feel adrift. Purpose is what gets you out of bed in the morning. It gives you a reason to stay engaged, to learn, and to contribute. Without it, it's far too easy to slip into passivity and decline. I'm reminded of Walter, a 64-year-old retired engineer I met. His wife had passed 3 years prior, and his children were grown and living in different states. He described his days to me with a heartbreaking phrase. He said he felt like he was just marking time. He wasn't living, he was just waiting. Waiting for the day to end, waiting for something, anything, to happen. The solution is to intentionally and proactively build new pillars of purpose. This is your work now. It requires conscious effort. Revisit a hobby you never had time for. Learn a skill you've always been curious about. Woodworking, playing the guitar, even mastering technology to connect with your grandkids. But perhaps the most powerful source of new purpose is contribution. Find a way to share your lifetime of wisdom. Walter eventually started volunteering as a mentor for young engineers through his old professional association. He told me, with a spark in his eye I hadn't seen before, that helping these young people navigate their careers gave him back that same sense of value he thought he had lost forever. You have a lifetime of experience. Please find a way to share it. Now, we must address the most critical mistake of all. I need your full attention here. Because what I am about to share is, without exaggeration, a matter of life and death. Mistake number 7. Ignoring cardiovascular warning signs and failing to have an emergency cardiac plan. This single mistake is responsible for more preventable tragedies among older men living alone than any other factor. It is the one area where the masculine tendency to tough it out can have immediate and fatal consequences. And yet, it's the one that so many men feel they can manage on their own. The statistics are chilling and must be heard. Men over 60 who live alone have a 40% higher risk of a fatal heart attack compared to those living with a partner. And that shocking 73% figure I mentioned earlier? It refers to the fact that nearly 3/4 of cardiac emergencies in older men living alone result in delayed medical intervention. Why? Simply because no one is there to recognize the symptoms or call for help immediately. The core, deadly problem lies in misinterpretation and minimization. The warning signs of a heart problem are often subtle and easily dismissed. We think of a heart attack as a dramatic, chest-clutching event, but it can begin as unusual fatigue, shortness of breath, mild chest discomfort that feels like indigestion, or pain radiating to the jaw or arm. The instinct for many men is to wait it out, to see if it passes. When you live alone, that waiting game is a gamble with your life. I will never forget the story of Richard, a 69-year-old retired mechanic from Arizona. He woke up at 3 in the morning with what he described as just some mild discomfort in his chest and feeling a bit winded. His first thought was that it was heartburn from the spicy dinner he'd had. He told himself he was fine. He spent 2 hours trying to convince himself the symptoms would go away. 2 hours before he finally called 911. By the time the paramedics arrived, he was in the midst of a massive heart attack. Richard was one of the lucky ones. He survived. But that 2-hour delay could have easily cost him his life. So, here is your plan of action. First, commit to memory the warning signs of a heart attack and promise yourself you will take them seriously, even if they seem minor. Second, if you have a known cardiac history, keep any prescribed nitroglycerin tablets within easy reach at all times. Third, have an emergency plan that does not involve you driving yourself to the hospital. Know who to call. And finally, please, consider a medical alert system. Overcome the pride that tells you that you don't need it. Your life is infinitely more valuable than your pride. Recognizing the signs and getting immediate help is the single biggest factor in surviving a cardiac event. Being prepared for a health crisis is vital, but just as important is the emotional foundation that supports you day to day. This brings us to a deeper level of our first mistake. Mistake number 8. Failing to maintain and build. This goes beyond the simple danger of isolation we discussed earlier. This isn't just about having contact with people. It's about the quality and depth of those connections. It's about having someone you can really talk to. Many men, without realizing it, outsource the management of their social lives to their wives. Women are often the brilliant social coordinators in a family, planning gatherings, remembering birthdays, maintaining ties with friends and extended family. When a man finds himself living alone, he may suddenly discover that the social network he thought was his was actually his spouse's, and he was simply a participant. The core challenge is that men often struggle more than women to cultivate and maintain deep, emotionally vulnerable friendships in later life. The easy camaraderie of the workplace often fades after retirement. Making new friends can feel awkward, and the conversations can remain stuck on superficial topics like sports or the weather. This leads to a particular kind of loneliness, the kind you can feel even when you're in a room full of people. It's the feeling of being surrounded by acquaintances, but having no true confidants. This lack of deep connection is a heavy burden, depriving you of the emotional support, the laughter, and the shared history that give life its richness and resilience. I remember a patient, Charles, a 71-year-old widower, a very sociable and friendly man. He knew all his neighbors. He'd chat with the person at the grocery store checkout. But he confessed to me one day, with a look of deep sadness, that he realized he hadn't had a truly meaningful conversation about his hopes, his fears, or his memories of his wife in over 6 months. He had plenty of people to wave to, but no one to really talk to. Building these relationships requires intentional effort. It means being brave enough to be vulnerable. When you join a group, choose one based on a genuine, passionate interest, not just for convenience. In conversations, dare to share something real about yourself beyond the surface-level chatter. Invest in people. Follow up with them. Remember what they told you. Reconnect with old friends you've lost touch with. It takes work, but these meaningful connections are the emotional bedrock of a happy, healthy life. If you're struggling to build these connections, comment the number 8 below and share what's been most challenging for you. All the advice we've discussed, from health maintenance to social connection, rests on one final, fundamental principle. And violating this principle is perhaps the most tragic mistake of all, because it is entirely self-imposed. Mistake number 9. Refusing help due to excessive pride or the fear of being a burden. For a lifetime, you have been the provider, the problem solver, the rock. You were the one people turned to for help. Your entire identity may be built on a foundation of strength and self-reliance. The very idea of needing to ask for help, especially from your own children or from people younger than you, can feel like a fundamental failure. It can feel like you are losing the very essence of who you are. This pride, while understandable, can become a dangerous barrier, preventing you from getting the support you need to live safely and independently. The core issue here is a toxic misconception that accepting help is a sign of weakness. In reality, the exact opposite is true. Knowing your limits and strategically accepting support is one of the highest forms of wisdom and strength. It is the key to preserving your independence for as long as possible. Insisting on doing everything yourself, even tasks that have become unsafe, doesn't make you more independent. Paradoxically, it makes you more vulnerable to a fall or an accident that could rob you of your independence entirely. Furthermore, the fear of being a burden often prevents men from accepting the very thing their loved ones desperately want to give: their help and support. The people who care about you want to help. It gives them peace of mind and is an expression of their love. I think of Henry, a 75-year-old former business owner. He was a proud man who repeatedly waved off his children's offers to help with groceries, yard work, or rides to his appointments. "I've got it," he'd always say. He insisted on handling everything himself, right up until the day he fell off a small stepladder while trying to change a high-ceiling light bulb and broke his wrist. During his recovery, which made him far more dependent than he ever wanted to be, he finally realized that his stubborn pride hadn't protected his independence. It had jeopardized it. So, I ask you to reframe your thinking. See accepting help not as admitting defeat, but as smart resource management. Be clear and specific about what you need. Perhaps you're fine with your finances but would welcome help with heavy lifting. Maybe you love cooking but would appreciate a hand with technology. Accepting the right kind of help is not giving up. It is the smartest thing you can do to hold onto the independence that matters most. As we come to the end of our time together, I find my thoughts returning to John, the gentleman from Michigan I mentioned at the very beginning. His story of retreating into a profound silence after his wife passed is a perfect example of that first and most subtle mistake of isolation. But I'm happy to tell you today, those Wednesday morning coffees are just one small part of a full and vibrant life he has intentionally rebuilt for himself. He started small, with just one commitment, and it changed everything. His story, and all the others we've touched upon, from Richard's terrifying heart attack scare to Henry's humbling fall from a ladder, all point to one powerful, central truth. The 9 mistakes we've covered today, from health neglect and harmful habits to pride and a lack of preparedness, they are all preventable. Your golden years can be a time of incredible freedom, peace, and fulfillment. But that independence must be paired with wisdom and proactive care. I hope you've seen that your health and safety are built not on grand gestures, but on small, consistent, daily choices. Your independence is precious, but it should never, ever come at the cost of your well-being or your life. Living alone successfully means being smart about when to be self-reliant, and being wise enough to know when to reach out for support. As we wrap up, we've explored these 9 critical areas that can truly transform your life after 60. But knowledge is only powerful when we put it into action. So now, I have one important final question for you. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself after watching this video today? It could be as simple as, I will schedule that doctor's appointment, or I will check the batteries in my flashlight, or I will call my old friend tomorrow morning. Please, share your personal commitment in the comments below. Reading them inspires me, and your commitment will undoubtedly inspire another member of our community to take that first, vital step. And if you found real value and encouragement in our time together, please show your support by giving this video a like. To ensure you continue on this journey with us and never miss another video full of this kind of guidance, hit that subscribe button. It's more than just subscribing. It's joining a community of friends, all dedicated to navigating this chapter of life with strength and wisdom together. Finally, think of one person, a brother, a friend, a neighbor, who needs to hear this message today, and please share it with them. That simple act might just make all the difference in their life. Thank you for watching. Most importantly, remember that living alone does not mean you have to live without purpose, without connection, or without joy. This is your time to thrive.